Sean, the Leafs were surprised that Fraser Minten made the team out of camp. Fraser himself did not expect it. How surprised were you?
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit surprised for sure. I mean, we all believed that he was ready to go. He was ready to have a great camp. He's the type of person that really embraces the challenge and goes after it. So obviously he's done a great job and he's impressed people. And we got to play his first NHL game last night.
So you would have seen him, I guess, at the start of Blazers training camp. Did anything in particular stand out when you first saw him this season?
Excuse me. I think the thing that stands out with Fraser uh, is that he's always focused. Some guys show up at that time and kind of use camp just to get loosened up, and they kind of go through the motions a little bit. And Fraser, he wasn't like that at all. His mindset was, I'm going to go hard here for the first few days of camp and use it to really push myself and try to pick up my pace. He knew that it was going to be a different pace, so he really tried to push himself. He appeared stronger. Um, he appeared a little more confident. So those were all signs that he was ready to have a real good camp.
What was your message to him at the end of last season going into the summer?
We have exit meetings with everybody, so there's a few things. Obviously, I mean, number one was you got to be ready to lead this team next year. We lose a lot of players. One of the things we do is we ask all of our players in those exit meetings, who's our leaders next year? We're graduating a lot of players. Who's going to be the guy? And it was unanimous that Fraser Minten was going to be the number one guy here. He's not here right now, but that's the influence he has on his group. That's how the guys view him. They really look up to him in lots of ways.
What makes him a good leader? Like, what does he do? Because Sheldon Keefe also highlighted that during the preseason.
Yeah, he talks about staying focused and being present. I think that's one thing that makes him a good leader. He's not overly emotional. He's passionate, but he doesn't let his emotions get the best of him. Um, he leads by example. Um, he's engaged, on the ice and on the bench. I mean, he really is almost, like another coach. He understands exactly what we're trying to do. Maybe there's something happening in the middle frame, and we need to make an adjustment. And you mention it to him. He's able to go on the ice and do it, and then he's able to come off the ice and remind the players or point things out. Does a great job with his line mates. So I think that if you're playing with Fraser Minten, you're gonna have a real good line mate that's trying to play as a group. Um, you know, trying to help everybody out. Um, Off the ice, very committed. Warm ups, cool downs, all those things that uh, are important for preparation and getting ready for the next day. So there's lots of things that make him a good leader. But I think that in general, um, he's just engaged in the moment and he understands. I think he tries to answer the question, what does this moment, need from me right now as a person? And so, sometimes there's not a lot. Sometimes it's time to say something. Sometimes it's time to stand up and get the guys going.
What's your favorite Minton moment or story coaching him?
Um, Probably the one I tell a lot is, kind of going into his 17-year-old season. So the 16-year-old year, we played in a hub. A little bit of a challenge, but he was 16 years old. Um, Killed penalties in practice every day. And that's the way it goes. A lot of times you have your power play guys, and they also kill some penalties during games. So it's the younger guys that end up doing a lot of the killing in practice to give the power play, some reps and some competition. And he volunteered. He jumped out every time. He stayed out until you told, okay, give somebody else a turn. But then at 17, when it's time for people to kill, he's ready to go. And there's other guys that um, that really struggled. So I think he was able to look ahead. He was able to say, this is going to be really important. I'm going to figure out the penalty kill. I'm going to understand exactly where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do, so that I'm ready to go. So there's not lot of young players that can look, you know, at the situation like that or look that far ahead and realize how important it is. I'm only practicing right now, but man, next year I'm going to be ready to go.
So the Blackhawks are coming to Toronto Monday. I know Minton and Connor Bedard are close friends. What do you remember about their WHL meeting last season back in November? Big win for Kamloops 9-3. I know it's many games ago now for you, but just curious if anything pops from that game for you.
Um, I probably remember the 9-3 win. I know that there was a lot of interest. I mean, that Connor Bedard tour through our league was something else. He was selling out buildings everywhere. So I remember that. I do, remember. I remember he scored against us a couple times, but I remember partway through that we kind of took it over. And I know Fraser was looking forward to it. Um, I know at the draft we were waiting to go into the building, and Fraser and his family was there, and Connor was there, and they were trying to, kind of protect Connor because it was pretty chaotic. Everybody wanted to see him. Everybody wanted autographs, so they were trying to kind of surround him to help him get into the building. I know that's not the game that we're talking about, but that's something that I remember about those two.
Sorry, which draft was that?
That was the draft in Toronto or in Montreal, excuse me.
Right, right. When Connor was just there to kind of observe and Minton. Yeah, they were rooming together, I believe. So it's kind of cool that now they're likely going to play each other in the NHL. So the NHL coaches now get to feel your pain and the what the WHL coaches were feeling when it comes to Bedard. What was your approach like game planning for him? Do you remember like what going into that game, like what were you thinking?
I think it's awareness. I think it's you know try try to keep him in front of you. He's so good through the neutral zone with his acceleration and his deception, and then you think you've got him under control, and you're doing those things. You're keeping him in front of you, and he's able to fire a shot from you know mid range, top of the circle, and pick corners. So he's just very dangerous player, very skilled player, and obviously well spoken. Seems very grounded. It's going to be really fun to watch.
So the Leafs are evaluating Minton on a game by game basis. We'll see how it plays out. How are you handling this? You mentioned how important Minton was going to be for your team. You have to adjust on the fly here. Like, how are you handling things in Kamloops?
Yeah, it's not easy. Right now we've got a real young team. I think we had 8 forwards dressed last night. It's their first year in the league, so it's really different. We've got on the flip side of that, there's 8 forwards, uh, 2 defensemen, playing professional hockey right now that played for us last year. So it's a major turnover. So it's a big challenge. Um, we're trying to teach a lot. We're trying to stay positive. Trying to work on areas of our game that we believe will help in the long run. Keep the guys going, keep moving forward, and just see what happens as far as the NHL and the American League and all those things. I mean, we're not necessarily counting on anybody coming back, but if that happens, hopefully the group that's here right now has gotten better and learned some things, and we can keep moving forward.
Obviously, Fraser would be a huge boost, but is the fact that he's kind of had this story in Toronto kind of created a bit of a buzz around the room? I know his younger brother is on the team, Bryce. Are the guys following it?
Yeah, the guys are following it for sure. Everybody's following it. I think if you're if you're a sports fan and watch anything to do with sports the last little while, you know who Fraser Minton is now. If you didn't, you know who he is now. I mean, it's obviously a big market, obviously a real intriguing story, an interesting story, a story that I don't think a lot of people expected. and that's a tribute to Fraser. I mean, he's pushed, he got himself ready, he's gone after it, and he deserves the opportunity that he's getting. So it's very exciting, obviously for him. It's very exciting for his teammates. Um, it's big news for the organization, for the Kamloops Blazers organization. I mean, we're feeling a little bit of pain right now, um, with being younger and missing, you know, all the graduating players, including Fraser. Um, but we are a developmental hockey league, and that's what you want. You want players to go through your program, work hard, get better, get drafted, and then go after their NHL dreams.
Yeah, it speaks well to certainly the program in Kamloops. So, Sean, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been a fun story to follow, and I look forward to keep following it.
Great, thanks, Mark.